Thursday, you know how we do it each and every Thursday. Behind the Recordz. It's 8 o'clock, y'all. Joe Paul, what up? I see you. Cherry Web Image, I see you. DJ Skribble, I see you. We gonna get right to it, guys.
What up, Sean?
DJ Skribble!
What up?
What's good with it? What's good with it?
What's good?
Hey, man. Welcome to Behind the Recordz, my man.
Good to be here, brother.
Yes,
you and I go way back.
We go way back, way back, man. So before I get started, man, I always do this traditionally every Thursday at 8 p.m., man. I send healing tones out to people who are hurt, people that pockets are messed up, people that suffering from COVID, people that are at loss of loved one, people that are just not feeling well, people that just need some inspiration, some upliftment. I send healing tones to them, man. You know what I'm saying? And to their families. You know, it's important for us to try to, you know, send positive healing tones and positive vibes out to our peoples, man. You know, you're spinning a little bit there, buddy. Shout out to Check Finder. What up? What up? Blue Williams in the building, guys. Man, DJ Joe Paul, I am Joe Paul. We are here. My nephew Ramonte, what up? Boy, don't stay up too late. Yo, Blue, when you come back around, man, we gotta have one of these, man. For real, we gotta go out for one at our favorite spots, man. Shout out to my man Lee. My man Lee from the spot, secret location. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man Lee. Word, thank you. I appreciate it, Lee. Word. Y'all see that? Appreciate that. Word. So let's get Skribbles back here, man. Happy birthday to Aguilar the Don. Happy birthday, Aguilar the Don. Happy belated birthday to Lupe Fiasco and to Ice-T. Happy belated birthday, Ice-T. On this day in hip-hop, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince released the single, Parents Just Don't Understand.
Changed the game.
Also, the Ghetto Boys debuted their album, Making Trouble, on this day too, back in '88. You know what I'm saying? So it's time to set the record straight. Skribble, are you straight with the Wi-Fi and everything?
Yeah, you know, I tried. So I all I see on my face in the comments, and I tried to put those down, and then I lost you. So I'm not touching nothing.
Okay. All right, cool, no problem, man. But yo, let me give you the official
What up,
welcome
Joe?
to Behind the Recordz. Word. DJ Skribble, the first DJ to play in Times Square during New Year's Eve. DJ Skribble, the first DJ to do the Super Bowls and to do the USO tours during wartime. He's the first DJ. Is my friend, long-term friend, and still associate. Let's give it up for DJ Skribble. Welcome to Behind the Recordz.
I like the sound effects.
Yes, indeed, man. Yo, we're going to keep it interesting today, man. We're going to have fun with it. We're going to keep it interesting and entertaining. That's how we like to do it, though, you know?
Yep.
So, yeah, so really quick, man, I wanna get into it. And no one can tell your story better than you can, right? And that's what Behind the Records is, right? Behind the Records is real stories told firsthand. It's not what you heard at the barbershop or the salon. It's, you know, guys that were there around in that era that saw these things, that were there. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes, you know, especially when you're telling stories of hip hop, there could be the same story but different opinions, right?
True, very true.
Because just like, you know, in the subway system in New York, there's someone getting on the train and there's someone getting off the train, right? So if someone is getting on at the same time, somebody getting off, they'll miss each other and they have two different similar stories.
Correct.
So that's why this is important for us to have dialogue, so we can like discover things that we didn't, you know, we could have been in the same room and didn't know.
Yeah, very true.
All right, so at age 11, 12-ish, you had interest in DJing. That's correct, right?
Correct. Yeah, I was already doing graffiti. I mean, that's how I got the name Skribble, was from doing graffiti. I mean, that's really where I started before even DJing. Right. Well, it's probably right around the same time. And then I was in a b-boy group called the Spin Masters, but I was a boogie boy. I didn't break. I popped. So, I mean, I was, you know, engulfed in hip hop from jump, you know, and all the elements and the culture and the lifestyle and you know, thanks to my dad, who was in a doo-wop group called the Ovations and the Velvetones, may he rest in peace. You know, that's kind of was my first introduction to music, was through him, and my grandmother with the opera. So when I saw this dude Squiggy DJing, and you know, and when I finally left Queens and I went to Elmont, and I seen him DJing, I'm like, what the hell is this? And this is 1980, and I was just drawn to it. Got my first set of turntables. They were SLB 100, straight on, belt driven, that if you pressed the platter too hard, the damn thing would stop. And I had a GLI mixer and had a paper out, and that's how I bought all my records. And then I started working at King Umberto's in Elmont, and, you know, I was busboy and waiter and anything I could do to make money to buy records, you know. So
Right.
That's really where it all started. And then I did my first gig, and this is how I met Dre and everybody, when I was 14 at Roller Castle. And I was horrendous, and I got kicked off the turntables in like 10 minutes. And I'll never forget Dre looking up at the booth at me like, someday, kid. You know what I mean? I was terrible. But then obviously becoming friends with Dre and Flavor and Keith Shockley, and then the Bomb Squad, and then all of that stuff. So it was a natural progression from there. And by the time I was out of high school in 87, by 89, I was on my first world tour with Public Enemy with the Young Black Teenagers.
Wow. So let's talk about that, man, because you just unpacked a whole lot of history all in.
That's chapter 1.
So that's before the turntables used to bomb up in the Bronx, right?
No, not in the Bronx. I was on the J's, the M's, a lot of walls, a lot of handball courts. I did hit the 2s and 5s after I met Scene. You know, same way I was into graffiti. I told my parents I was going, you know, to a friend's house, and I would take the train up into the Bronx just to go see, you know, sit at the right down over there and watch trains go by and shit like that, take pictures. I was always like that. And then how I met Scene was I went to PS14 up in the Bronx to go see, I think it was Scene's The Incredible Hulk burner that he did at PS14 on the wall. I wanted to go check that out. So I went up by East Tremont over there, and I hear, it was like the night, and I go around the wall, and it's Duster doing a burner on the other side. So that's how I met Duster. And then he told me where Scene worked, which was at a place called Tees and Things on East Tremont Avenue. And he was doing airbrushing on shirts in there. And I became friends with Scene, and that started. And then eventually he started letting me throw up United Artists. And the same way how I wanted to meet Bambaataa. I was 14 years old, went to the Bronx River Projects, like, I want to meet Africa Bambaataa. And that's how I met the Grand Wizard Theodores and Cold Crush and Tony Tone and Charlie Chase, and befriended those guys.
Grandmaster Cash's and that. So is that at that moment is the moment where you fell in love with hip hop? Like, I
fell in love with hip hop from way before that, just from the records and just, you know, listening to, you know, some of the first joints I got, and even going back as early as the Fat Boys and the Cold Crush and Fearless 4 and, you know, and all of that, and just buying those records, and just, it was such a different, it was like a different air that you breathed. Do you know what I mean? And it was just, you know, and at that time I was this little white Italian boy, you know, Queens. My parents were getting divorced. I ended up having to move to Bensonhurst, and that didn't last too long, because here I am in fucking shell top Adidas and Lee's and La Tigra shirts, you know, hanging out on 18th Avenue and 68th Street, and with all the dudes with the white beaters and the Capizios, and it was like, I definitely didn't mix in over there. So
Oh wow! Oh wow! Oh
I
wow!
went back to Long Island after that.
So,
But
so where did you had as a kid, you had a paper route, right? And
I
you
had a paper
started,
route. I started working on a paper route when I was 11, because I liked money. I wanted to make money. I wanted to have my own shit. By the time I was 16 years old, I was making $1,500 a week at King Umberto's, doing busboying and waitering and everything else. And that's how I supported, you know, $1,500 a week. Back then, I was 16. So what? That's like 1984, 85. Like, you know what I mean? That's a lot for a 16-year-old every week. So that's how I was able to buy all my gear and my records, and built up all of that stuff. And then, you know, went from my bedroom into the garage, and then bought bigger speakers. And then I'd be doing mixtapes, and my father hated hip hop, and he would just come and shut the circuit breaker off. I'd be in the middle of the tape. All the power would go out in the garage, and that would be it. And I'd be like, Dad, what the hell are you doing? True story.
so rest in peace to your dad.
Yes.
And was it at what point did your dad realize that all the stuff that you were fighting to keep, and he
believe it or not, it was almost 10 years later. The first time my father ever saw what I got to do was when I did my first Broadway play with Bill Irwin and members of the Rocksteady crew. We did Hip Hop Wonderland, and this is right when they cleaned up 42nd Street, and we were the first show in the New Victory Theater on 42nd Street, and I played the lead against Bill Irwin, who was this like middle-aged white businessman who knew nothing about hip-hop, and we kind of combined, you know, Wild Style with Alice in Wonderland. He falls down a manhole, and he goes into this hip-hop wonderland where we explained to him the 4 elements of hip-hop, and I was the maestro for all of that, and everything that I did was controlled with my turntables and me guiding him on this journey through the wonderland. And that was the first time my father ever saw me perform, because he really wasn't into it. My father's an old school Ginzaloon, you know, he was old school Italian, set in his ways, stubborn, you know, it's what he was. He pretty much like I'm turning into. I find myself more and more when I yell at my kids going, holy shit, I sound like my father now. Like I get it now. You know what I mean? So,
right.
But that was the first time he ever saw me perform, and it was beautiful. I'll never forget, I was doing my Peter Piper routine. That's when I used to do it. I sped it up on 45, and I would take off my shirt and do all the tricks. And then I just remember focused, because he was dead out there, because I was set up on like a balcony, and I seen him just crying his eyes out, like, because he didn't understand it. He never, you know, and which was weird, because he was a singer. He was a musician. He was in the Ovations and the Velvetones. I mean, this guy had a voice of an angel, like, so it didn't make sense to me that he didn't understand what I was trying to do. He thought I was going to be a bum. He really did. He never thought I'd make anything out of myself. You know, we were tight, you know, before he passed and everything, but we went through a hell of a, there was one day he tried to sit there and cut up all my fat laces. My father was a very big man. I was about $125 soaking wet, and I'm wrestling with this man, because he literally, I had not the nylon fat laces, the cotton fat, the soft cotton ones, the dope joints. Not the fake, like the plasticky looking one. So I had every color, and I had a tail back then too. He tried to cut that off. He tried to cut my laces up. I wrestled this man on the ground. Yeah. But I mean, he just didn't understand him. He didn't understand the culture. Of course, then once he seen me, then it's my son, my son, my son. And he was very proud of my accomplishments. And we had a great relationship. But, you know, it was tough. I left home around right after I left home. I was still, I think, in high school in my senior year, and I moved out. And I was living with a friend of mine.
So I'm not going to be stereotypical here.
Yeah, you can, because yes, he was. Yes, he was. He didn't like the girls I dated. He didn't like any of that shit. But he wasn't that. He just came from that school. Eventually, he had no choice. But yes, I came from that.
Did he ever threaten you with the baseball bat? That's what I want to know.
No, but I did tell him to go fuck himself one time, and I was 16 in front of all my friends in the street, and I watched a 350-pound man run faster than the Flash and caught me and beat the living shit out of me in the middle of the street. I told him, go fuck yourself. I don't need you no more. And I never seen those eyes the way I seen them. And I had a good lead on him, too. I was like, oh, he ain't never catching me. His ass. Man, listen, he caught me in front of that house, in front of my friend, lifted me off the ground. Oh, forget it. Yeah, I got my ass whooped a few times.
Oh, man.
He's a good man, though. He's a great man.
Yo, those father beatings are always the most memorable ones, right?
Oh, he felt terrible about it, though.
That's what I'm saying.
He felt terrible about it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is hurting me more than it's hurting you.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
No, it hurt like hell. I ain't gonna lie. He's a big dude.
Yeah. Shout out to all the DJs that are chiming in, man. We really appreciate you guys and everything that you do. Blue Williams, Tony Rashawn, man, DJ Izzy D, DJ Fresh, oh man, Teaser, yeah, man. So what was your first DJ gig like, though?
The first DJ gig was at Roller Castle in Elmont. That was my first one. I was 14. And like I said, I was terrible. I literally went on, and within 12 minutes, I was kicked right off. It was horrible. That was awful.
Okay, so what made you decide to keep going? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you felt like you were horrible, like,
because I knew. One thing I got from the determination and the drive of never quitting, and failure is not an option in my world, and that stuck with me till this day. And I'm 53 now. It's just, I knew, I never in a million years thought I'd take it where I did, but I knew this is what I wanted to do, and I was going to stop at nothing to do it, whether it was going to be in the art world or the music world.
Wow.
I knew that's what I wanted.
Wow. So you had the creative juices inside you, and you just needed to express it, right?
Correct.
And you wasn't gonna let anything stop you from expressing.
No, I mean, I took a big jump. I mean, I wasn't lying. I mean, there was nights I was home. I didn't have a place to live. I slept in my truck. Even after I left the teenagers, I didn't have any really place to go. I was sleeping on Craig Coleman's couch at Big Beat when he gave me a job.
Wow.
True story.
I was
sleeping on Dre's. I was sleeping on Dr. Dre's couch. Like, it was one of those things where it's just like, I wasn't giving up. I knew that there was something in me that I was going to strive to be good at. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I knew that I just needed to be in front of the right people. You know what I mean? So being part of, obviously, coming with the Bomb Squad and being part of that in the beginning with Cam and ATA and Firstborn, we definitely made a lot of noise in what we did at that time, especially because of what we were calling ourselves. But we had the chops to back it up. Our first show, was in the Docklands Arena in London. It was Public Enemy, EPMD. That's how I met DJ Scratch. So that's how long I know Scratch out of everybody, is as long as in my group, So, and we got booed. They announced us. The whole place cheered, and we got booed. We went over there, right? So we get there, and we had no working papers. We knew nothing. Russell and Leor and Hank sent us over there, and we all got up to immigration. I had 65 cents in my pocket. I shit you not. Okay? Now, I have family that lives in Yorkshire. I had family that lived over there. So they're like, oh, what are you doing here? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, I'm going to visit my grandmother's sister. But, okay, where does she live? And I'm like, I don't know. They're coming to pick me up. I have no idea. How much money do you got? Meanwhile, Cameron's next to me and the other, you know, immigration, ATA, first, and they're all the guys are starting to look at each other. Now, mind you, we had four turntables, about 12 boxes of records, all our equipment we brought there, right? No working papers, no visas, no nothing. Trying to get into England. And so they take us into customs and they bring us down there. Now, we have a show that night. We're supposed to be that's our first show the day we got there. Ends up, they call back to New York. They get Russell on the phone and Lior and Hank on the phone. And I'll never forget, they go, we don't give a shit what you do with those kids, but we need to get that equipment to the arena for Public Enemy's show. So they actually, whatever they did, they let us go. They stamped our passports that we had 24 hours to get out of the country, that we were only allowed there for 24 hours, ran to the arena, got on stage. They announced us. The whole place went nuts. And then we walk out, and it was like, huh? They started booing us, throwing shit at us. I got hit with a pair of sunglasses. I kept fucking DJing. And even that was my first experience on stage. I was like, this is the greatest feeling I have ever felt in my life. And by the time we got to Germany, we started winning over crowds. And then the rest was, you know, we just kept going. And because our whole first album wasn't even done yet. We had 12 minutes and we used 27 breakbeats in 12 minutes. That was our first stage show. And this is when Tommy Never was still in the group. So it was me and ATA on the turntables, 4 turntables, and Cam, Tommy Never, and Firstborn up in the front. And
so 5 white guys named young black teenagers.
Yeah, Hank Shockley and Chuck came up with that.
Like, do you think that could exist today in this current hip-hop
I think
climate?
there would have been a reverse lynching and the 5 of us would be hanging from trees. I mean, I think that we would get killed for that. I mean, but you know what? But you know, like I think though, this is we did it as because it was about hip hop. It wasn't about color. You know what I mean? And at that time, it was like, oh, only you know, the urban market does hip hop. No, there was so much white boys like us that loved hip hop. So who embraced not just the music but the culture. We lived this culture. We lived this life. You know,
I can tell you one thing. When I heard this,
Crazy Legs, what up, son?
this was energy.
And it was crazy because we were on tour in Germany with the brand we were on tour in Germany with the Brand Nubians, and we had no idea that the record went #1. We had no idea the record went #1. We got off the plane, and then we had the Palladium that night. And I'll never forget, we went straight from the airport to the gig, and we had no idea that the record was all over the radio already and everything else. And I walked on that stage, and there was 6,000 people in front of us for us. There for us. We were the only group performing that night. And I was like, this is happening. Like, this is real. This is real. And then the rest was history. Crazy Legs is on with us. I mean, he's the one that put me down in the Rocksteady crew with the Rocksteady DJs. If it wasn't for Legs, I wouldn't have been in Jam on the Groove. I wouldn't have been in the Hip Hop Wonderland show. You know,
well, Crazy Legs, salute to you, my brother.
Legs took me to Brazil and Israel, and we did Jam on the Groove, and we started at the Minetta Lane Theater, and you know, it was such an amazing show. It was, you know, Wiggles, Fable, oh my God, Ken Swift. I mean, it was a who's who, and it was just amazing. You know, those, I've gotten to live out every hip hop fantasy, and I mean fantasy in the real world, in real time, of everything I've ever wanted to accomplish in this game, from working with some of, you know, the biggest people, from Biggie to the Fugees to, you know, Premier, and the list goes on and on. Buster, Craig Mack, Big Pun, you know, when I did Traffic Jams, and you know, and then to culminate it 2 years ago when I did the Yo MTV Raps 30th anniversary show at the Barclays Center, was the most, you know, besides the USO, I think was the highlight and the pinnacle of like, this shit could end tomorrow. I did it. I've done it. Short of maybe winning a Grammy or something like that, but I don't give a shit about the awards. I know my legacy in hip hop culture could never be that's the one thing that can never be taken, because I know I was the first to be that open format celebrity DJ like that. I know that that's me, and I'm not cocky about it. I'm humbled by it, because back then also, today we press a button. I said this on another interview. You're global. Back then, someone had to get a copy of a mix that I did on a cassette that's probably been re-recorded 57 times before it got over to Japan. You know, and I'll never forget the first time I went to Japan and they treated me like I was God. And I'm like, how the hell do they even know who I am? You know what I mean? Like, how will all of these kids know me? And I wasn't on MTV yet. I'm like, how do they know? But they just knew me from mixes and getting bootleg cassettes and this and that. And that's when you really know you got that power of that you're really doing it, because you had to have a physical copy of something then for people to know who you are. Not what we're doing right now on Instagram or social media.
Right. Well, way before it became popular to put DJ compilation albums together, you had put together 2 projects, right? And one of the songs on the project was this.
Hey, yo, what? Yo, what? That shit, son. Here we go again. Flip mode. Yeah, explosive. That's how we do it. What up? Yeah.
Shout out to King Tech in the building. Shout out to Steve Hammond. I see you. Shout out to DJ Movie. I see you. Shout out to Ali Lyrical. What up, Al Lyrical? I see you.
So I can explain that. When I started, I was a hip hop junkie. You couldn't get me to listen to any other music, right? So
there's a surprise for you, man. The one and only.
Now cut it out,
Rampage. What up?
Ha ha! What up, son?
Cut it out, Skribble.
What up, Rampage?
Those is not the only big people that you work with. Cut it out. Cut it out. Again,
what's going on, brother?
You my brother forever, and I could talk to you like that because we family. But I love you. God bless you. I respect everything that you do from day one. I got to give you your flowers while you're here. You gave me many summers watching MTV. I was one of those kids in Flatbush, Brooklyn, watching you bust moves. Then a couple of years after that, I got bigger, and I got a chance to work with you. And, you know, thank you for having me on your project and my Flipmode Squad, too.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. It was good that these kind of records that I did were more dancey on the ones that I did with Rampage and Boston and Spliff and everything. But it was so funny. The story behind it was because I was such a hip hop junkie, and how I got on Hot 97 was not playing hip hop. So when Steve Smith finally came to me, we got a show for you. I'm like, my God,
big up Steve Smith
on the biggest radio station in the world. And they're like, but you can't play hip hop. I'm like, I can't play hip hop. What the hell do you mean? And Glenn Fisher still had the Saturday Night Dance Party, which was still all the dance music, which was live from like the Palladium or Wave Street or, you know, at 1018, whatever they were doing the live broadcast from. So I had to learn how to play house music, and I hated house music at first. Hated it. And then I became to love it, and that's why I do both. But that inspiration after that with like even with the Craig Mack record and stuff was more to give it back for the club stuff and the dance stuff, because it showed me another. I didn't want to ever be pigeonholed into just being at that point as a hip hop DJ, but I wanted to just be the DJ. So if you put anything in front of me, whether, you know, and that also comes from being on tour with Anthrax and Primus and Sisters of Mercy with Chuck and Public Enemy, to eventually touring with Dave Navarro and Tommy Lee, you know, and putting our show together. You know, so right. I wanted to do, I came to that point. I wanted to be the first DJ to do everything. And that's, I guess, where open format came from.
Wow. Wow.
I just had to tap in with y'all because I saw my brother Skribble, and I want to tell Skribble,
Thanks,
I love
Rampage.
you to death. Rob Love.
Love you too, brother.
Get at me, Rob Love. I love you too, Rob. Love you guys.
Absolutely. Salute, Rampage. Thank you for tapping in, my brother.
Thanks, brother.
Definitely. Scribbles, hit me. Stop playing.
All right.
Yo, man. So, yo, an appearance by the last Boy Scout. Oh, man. Rampage, man. Wow, man. When was the last time?
We had a lot of fun making that album. The Traffic Jams album was a lot of fun, you know. And then being blessed from Wyclef, Proswell, and Lauren on 3 separate songs on that album at the height of their run, you know, and getting to work on the score with them, and then later on working on Carnival with Clef, you know, it's, you know, and even working with Pun, you know, working with Cuban Links and Pun, and originally Fat Joe was supposed to be on that record.
Why wasn't he on the record? That's why I didn't. That's why I always wanted to ask you that.
He might get mad at me right now, but I don't care. I'm 52. I can kill it. It was too fast for him. The tempo was too fast for him. He said. You know what I mean? So I respected that. That's not Joe's lane. You know what I mean?
Creative difference. It's a creative difference. I understand that.
Joe's lane, and that's how. And then he threw Cuban on it. That's how that all came to pass when Pun and then threw Cuban on it, because originally it was supposed to be Joe and Pun.
Right.
And then Cuban came, and shout out to Cuban. We've been doing some stuff together now too. We linked back up. Same thing with Aguilar to Don. I haven't seen him in 20 years. Showed up. Both of them showed up back in front of me in the same night, and they've been attacking my hip ever since.
Salute the Ag, man. Salute the Ag, man.
He's in the kitchen right now. He came here last night. Right after this, I got to take him back to Brooklyn. We've been cooking up in the lab now. I got him out here, and then I'm going to pick up Cameron right from there to bring him back out.
Right. So Cameron was in your group, but Cameron spells his name with a K, not with a C, like Cameron, Dipset Cameron.
He's macking, ruling over knuckleheads. That's Cameron.
I think I'm losing you right there.
I said King Aries macking, ruling over knuckleheads. That's Cameron's. That's what Cameron stands for.
Say it one more time, because you were we had the circle on you.
Oh, King Aries macking.
Say it one more time.
King Aries macking, ruling over knuckleheads. That's Cameron.
Okay, cool. So going back to YBT and Tap the Bottle. What was in the brown bag? What type of beer was it back then? Was it OE?
OD. OD. And it's funny because when I would do the 40 routine, when I would do the crack a 40 open, crack a 40, and then I go for mine, and I was really drinking 40s back then. And then by mid-show, I couldn't even fucking see straight because I drank an entire fucking bottle of 40 ounce. So I used to start taking fucking apple juice and pouring it in the bottle and shaking it up to get the fizz, and then I would down the apple juice. But I used to really do it with a 40, though. I did really do it with the 40.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, so I'm interested in playing a little quick game, man. Indulge me. Let's play Rake It Maker's polygraph test.
Okay.
And I want to get my my polygraph examiner in here so she can assist us with this. This is Jenna Law. Jenna, come join us so we can go through this polygraph.
Oh boy.
It's polygraph test. Now I'm going to ask you a series of questions.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Jenna Law. She's our record makers polygraph test examiner. So,
Hi guys.
she's going to
What's up,
determine
Jenna? How are
whether
you?
you're being truthful or you're telling the fibs. All right, so here we go. This is going to be a series of questions, just for you to answer, and then and then Jenna can tell us if you are authenticated or not.
Boy,
Right?
now I'm sweating. I should take my hair out.
What, DJ Skribble, what is your favorite time of the day?
My favorite time of the day, I would have to say after everybody goes to sleep and all the phones are off and I could come in the studio and work. That is my favorite time of day.
Okay. So,
He's telling the truth.
question is, the answer, you're going to the computer? Home? Wait a minute. Where we at? Go ahead.
He's telling the truth.
All right. Let's give it up. That's one. Okay. DJ Skribbles, who's your favorite sports team?
The New York
Knicks.
Giants. Everybody, you don't got to go through it. It's the Giants and the Yankees. That's it. They tattooed on my arm. So if she tells me I'm lying, her test is broken. I came out of the womb a Giants fan, or I wouldn't be allowed to live in my house.
Okay, Jenna.
He's telling the truth there
You're
too.
damn right.
Okay. Okay. Now, next question. Where we at? Okay. Are you a Trekkie?
No.
Okay.
Now, if you said if I'm a Star Wars nerd, I could show you around this room right. Well, you could probably see over my head all of those up there, and then the AT-AT Walker that's up there, and then you know what? Fuck it. Hold on. Here we go. Yeah. You want to see? This is what I am. How do I turn this damn thing around? All right. Hold on. There we go. So, if you want to know if I'm into Star Wars or not, there's your answer about that. So
that's great.
But not a Trekkie, no. Not a Trekkie.
Okay. So, you're into Star Wars?
Very much so.
Okay. So,
who else has a full life-size Darth Vader in their hallway?
Okay. Who's a better DJ? You or Funk Master Flex?
Me.
The answer is...
All right. He's telling the truth there as well.
Okay.
But no. You know, hats off. Listen, Flex and I are two different kind of DJs. You know what I mean? Flex, hats off to him, what he's done for radio and changed the face of what radio mix shows look like. And probably is the only one that's still on radio that has a mix show that can play off the play, would not play off of a playlist and gets to play whatever he wants. But, you know, I mean, he wasn't into the battling and the showing off stuff like that. But could he rock? Yeah. Am I better in certain things? Absolutely.
Okay, next question.
I'll still wax him in a battle. Don't get it twisted. That's easy. I'll still say that. I'm confident about that.
Okay, speaking of battle, would you wax Kid Capri in the battle?
Same type of thing. No, I'm afraid of Kid is a party rocker, and again, we're two different types of DJs, and it's like comparing, you know, Kid, Scratch, myself. There's differences in what we do. Kid is a party rocker. He's not a battle DJ, and he never claimed to be a battle DJ. But I would never want to go on after Kid Capri does a set because he does what Kid does. Kid's a goat. You know what I mean? So, you know, and I've played with them all. Like, you know, Scratch and I play together. Mel Starr and I play together. Me and Kid play together. You know, I mean, me and Riz used to play together. Me and Riz used to go around battling people state to state. Me and DJ Riz. But
nice.
different kind of DJs.
Nice, 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 nice. So let me ask you this: have you ever played in the Tunnel nightclub?
Yes, many times. Both hip
Jedi.
hop and house.
Hold on. Okay, he's telling the truth there too.
All right, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right. So now, next question: have you ever been in the fur room in the Tunnel?
Yes, I have. And I can tell you the story about that one. Okay, so let's get back to this. Let's segue. I can't even believe you brought that up. So let's segue. Going back to the part that I hated house music, right? So it's after my set on Hot 97, and Junior Vasquez Sound Factory had just closed, and Razor, Jason Ojeda, and Motomo say, "You're coming with us. We're going to see." I'm like, "What? Fuck out of here with this crazy." I walk into the Tunnel at about 4:30 in the morning, 5 in the morning, and there's 5,000 people going nuts to house music, and it's just the energy. I've never seen anything like it. And then, that's why I said if my last post, hip hop made me, house music made me crazy, then, like I was young and dumb and did, partied a little bit, whatever. Next thing you know, I'm in that fuzzy room like Puffy at Get Me to the Greek on the wall, paying the damn thing the whole night.
There's so many people that have no idea of what the fur room is.
I used to call it the fuzzy room. Yep, I used to call it the fuzzy room. Oh, I know what that room is.
Thank you so much for being a great sport, man, and playing the Record Makers polygraph test. Thank you, Jenna Law. Please follow Jenna Law.
You're welcome. Salute, guys.
Thank you.
Have a blessed day.
You too. Be safe.
You too.
So, thank you for indulging me with that one, man.
I can't even believe you brought up the fur. That's great. That's so great.
Yeah, man. So, we try something different and special over here behind the records, guys. So you got to explain. So you was on a tour with Tommy Lee.
Tommy and I have done shows together. I was on tour, like on the road with Dave Navarro. So me and Dave came up with an entire show. He was on lead guitar, and then I redid, like, I took War Pigs and Biggie and mashed them up, or Rage Against the Machine against Jay-Z Public Service Announcement. But all the leads and the guitars were all live. Same thing like I'm doing right now with Scott Storch. Like, me and him have a show where he's live on the keyboards and I'm DJing all the hits and other things like that. We got to do one show, and then COVID hit. And then we were supposed to do New Year's Eve, and that got all screwed up. So, but me and Scott have a whole show that we do as well. But Tommy and I remember when Tommy wanted to get into DJing, and I was there at his first DJ gig, and he calls me up. He goes, "What the fuck, Skribble? I don't know what to do, man. There's this mixer here, and it's got knobs on it." I'm like, "You mean a Yuri?" He's like, he had no idea how to use a Yuri mixer. So
wow.
True story. So I'm there, ducked down in the booth while he's DJing, and I'm flipping the channels for him to get from record to record on the Yuri knobs on his first DJ gig.
Wow.
Yeah, Tommy and I are pretty tight. We're good friends. I mean, same with Navarro, and I'm like I said, I've been very blessed to live not just in the hip hop world, but in the world. From Michael Strahan to Tommy Lee to Dean, who's the drummer from Journey. Like, I love being around everything. Anything I'm a student to this day of this game. I'm never once. Jazzy Jeff said it best. When you finally have success, that's when the real work begins.
Absolutely. You don't clock out. A
lot of people do clock out, and that's the mistake. Or a lot of people think that they could take the shortcut to get here. There's no shortcuts. None.
Well, I mean, all right. So let me ask you this: because you were DJing in the vinyl era. When Serato came into play, did you feel that there was more DJs that didn't?
I mean, I was a purist at that time. I fought it until I finally did the move. And then it was me and Kid Capri down in Cancun at Fat Tuesdays. And I walk in with my laptop to put it up, and I turn around and he's got 13 boxes of records behind him. I'm like, dude, it's over. I'm like, it's just let it go. This is so much easier. And you know, like I said, I've said this in every interview. Technology is a blessing and a curse. So right. I embrace the technology and use them as tools. When you're letting the technology use you, then whatever, and you're just pushing buttons, or you're not, you know, I don't think anybody should be a DJ until they learn how to DJ on vinyl or even a CDJ without the sync button. Learn how to mix. There's nothing wrong with that. Do your homework. Know your history. Know everybody. Same thing in the rap game. Know everybody that came before you, and not just a few years back, and you got a piece of gear now, or you bought an MP and you downloaded an 808 kit, and you just play using the same patterns everybody else is using. You know, so what I've noticed in the younger generation they've done with this technology, and just totally took it and stepped the bar up even higher, because you could actually be more creative. So when someone says, well, it's not the same as just two turntables and a mixer. No, it's not. You know, but I used to bring the two turntables and mixer. Then I would bring a second setup with the Yuri mixer, because when I started playing house music, the CDJs, effects units, and filters. I started bringing all these little toys before it was all built into one set, because I liked playing and taking you on a journey and mixing shit up and mashing up and bringing stuff in that you never expected that was going to come. What I learned from house music and how I applied it to hip hop, that production meant something. Lighting means something. When you drop a record at a certain part and the lights are a certain way, you're going to get a certain reaction in that crowd, because everything is aligning. It's not just playing records.
Right. So one of the craziest experience I've seen when I went to see Girl Talk, and I could not freaking understand how this guy had like 4 turntables, 3 laptops, and he's standing on the table like this.
Yeah, I hate that though.
you know what I'm saying? I'm like, so where's this music? Who's DJing?
So I mean, listen, it's you know, listen. There's certain things that you do when you're remixing stuff live. It's like you're in the studio making a record. You need to be synced up, or shit's not gonna line up. You know, but there's 2 ways of doing it. There's the slow cop out way, and just press buttons and just to play and hit the sync and the records do it things. Or there's guys out there like, you know, like Revolutions and Scratch Bassett, all these other guys that are taking these pieces and looping and taking sections of, and then bringing that in and bringing this in, and you know, and it all started really with the EFX 500 that Pioneer put out, that because I was on MTV, and then I started looping things live, and people were like, how is he doing? And this is with vinyl, and they were like, how are you looping this? And I would take the echo and I would turn it all the way up, and then it had a button on it for 2 beats, quarter beats, 4 beats, and I would put it on the 4 beats, and then all of a sudden I had a 1-bar sample going, and then I would layer something over the top of that, and then layer it over the top of that, and then bringing the next record in. So I was recreating these things, and now you could do it all obviously on the fly. But some of these guys, you know, now with the programs and the DAWs, you could emulate 4 turntables, take a sample from this one, get that going, take a sample from that, and now all of a sudden you made a completely different record. Do you have to be in sync to do that? Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you're being creative and you're using the tool, not letting the tool use you.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I'm glad that you unpacked it like that, because we got a bunch of DJs on here, and I talk to a bunch of DJs all the time, and they all use different equipment, and they all are still trying to figure out how to make this process simpler and to get more creative with what they do. right? Mash up, multiple formats, all in one, all on the same beat per minute, all in sync. You know, the time sequence is right. The crowd is steady moving, and and you know they want to continue to get those premium bookings.
Correct.
So how has the booking process changed for you since the pandemic? Far as you know,
I mean, I went from 100 to 0 for 2 years, you know, and it's still happening. My Super Bowl party got canceled. I was supposed to do the Empire State Games last week. That got canceled. I mean, it's up and down. That's why I've been literally concentrating most of my time and a lot of it in the studio right now, working and you know, teaming back up with Aguilar, and obviously me and Cam have been doing stuff. And then also on the house side, which I go under Street Slang, which is all the underground tech house and house music that I produce under that name with my partner Dom Tafaro. So, you know, bookings are just, there's book. I got a show with T.I. coming up. I got a show with Nelly coming up. You know, I'm doing Rachel's in West Palm Beach next Friday, down in West Palm Beach next Friday. You know, the bookings are slow, but I don't mind it as much this time around because I'm in a different place than I was also 2 years ago, mentally, physically, everything, and I'm having fun again. I'm back to, yeah, I was around a lot of negativity for a long time. You know what I mean? And being told you should give it up, this is over, you've already passed your prime, don't do this no more. And I started actually listening to it. I honestly really did. And, you know, with the circumstance of events that transpired, and I'm in a new place, I have a wonderful family and a wonderful support system that built me back up, that literally was like, go back and do what you do best. Right. You know, because there was a little while where I thought it was over. I thought I didn't even want to do it. I was just in this dark black hole, you know. And
well, you survived a lot, right? From, I mean, Sandy Hook. It took, you know.
Sandy took everything. Sandy took every record I ever owned. Took all the masters, all the Big Pun stuff, all the Lauren, everything. It took it all. There was nothing left. The only thing that was left was my Avalon 737, which was underwater for 4 days, and believe it or not, I just got it back from Bob down in Miami. He used to work for Richard Long, and he resurrected it. That's the only piece of gear that I have left from the original studio.
Wow.
That was like my first big piece of outboard gear that I bought was the Avalon 737. So, wow. But you know, yeah, I mean, everybody has ups and downs. We all carry bags of shit. You know what I mean? So, but do I put that out there? I still wake up every day that the glass is half full. I can't wake up. I can't wake up with the glass half empty, and I won't be around any negative and being any negativity right now. I don't need it. I'm 53 years old. You know, we all have that big circle, and then as you get older, you know who your true friends are.
Absolutely.
The circle starts to get a lot smaller. And when you're down at the bottom of your ass and you're on the bottom of the floor, the ones that are coming to pick you up, those are your friends. Those are your friends. Fat Joe just did something the other day. He said he did this whole test that he said he was telling everybody he ran out of money, and 90% of his crew left except for 6 people. And those are the 6 people that still ride with him today.
Wow.
And it's the same thing. Like, there's no more. I don't have time. I don't need it. I don't want it. I have my family, my children, and I love what I do. And when people ask me, well, when are you going to quit? When you put me in the ground, that's when I'll quit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So how important is having the right team, the right management?
It's everything. It's everything. My management is Cam Goodrich and Rob Goodrich from 6 to Midnight. They're movie guys. They're out in New Mexico right now filming a movie, and they believe, and Charlie Stetler still to this day is still always in my life. And if it wasn't for Charlie, then there's no MTV, there's no nothing. Charlie Stetler will always be my heart and soul besides Dr. Dre, because it goes back to Dre. Without Dre, there's no Charlie. Without Dre, there's no Hot 97. Without Dre, there's no MTV. Dre is the catalyst that brought me to that world. You know,
and I want to send healing tones to Dre too, because he's got some health issues that he's battling. I spoke to him earlier today. You know, he was in good spirit. Actually, he had a doctor's appointment, and you know, and he got a good checkup results. So you know, he's getting better. But you know, salute to Charlie and to Dre.
Yeah, I mean, Charlie, I'll never, again, another thing. And if it wasn't for Linda, Charlie wouldn't have managed me. I invited him to the Minetta Lane Theater to come see me perform at Jam on the Groove, because I was begging Charlie, manage me. He's like, what am I going to do with the DJ Skribble? I know nothing. I know how to make superstars. I have Dre and Ed. I'm like, just, and then he saw me perform at that show, and Linda turned to him and said, do you get it now? And from that day forward, Charlie was my manager. And Charlie and I mean, we did the impossible. I mean, he made, you know, I was doing MTV Jams with Tyrese, and we still didn't even have a contract in place yet. Because what happened was, going back to Flex, they offered that show to Flex, MTV Jams. Flex told MTV that that Tyrese wasn't street enough. Shout out to Tyrese. And
rest in peace to his mom.
His
he just lost his mom.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know. I spoke to him the other day, and they said Flex said that he wasn't street enough for him. So Charlie got me in there, and I started doing the show before I was even really allowed technically on the thing. And then Charlie was in the office, and they were like, "Well, Skribble's on. I don't remember putting Skribble on MTV Jams. Where's his contract?" And Charlie was like, "We don't have one." And then I had my contract the next day. And then the rest was history. Yeah. Charlie was P.T. Barnum, man. He still is. There's nothing, that man will never cease to amaze me on what he's accomplished, and doesn't get the respect or the props sometimes for the things that he's done at the, you know, back with Sal Abatello, and, you know, before Russell blew up at Def Jams. You know, Charlie brought the first hip-hop show to Radio City Music Hall. Charlie brought the Fresh Fest. That was right. Charlie Stetler. Nobody else. You know, he's the one that made the Fat Boy, took the Disco 3 to the Fat Boys. Right. He managed the Latin Rascals, got Dre and Ed the first $1 million deal at Morning Show. $1 million deal, Charlie Stetler.
Yeah, salute to Charlie Stetler, man. He's definitely a beast and a pioneer in the game. And still working to this day. So you also there was another you won the Mountain Dew DJ championship.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any other instances where DJs or any other gigs that DJs missed but gave you an opportunity?
Yes, I mean, when I left the teenagers and I was living in my truck, I was in front of Chippendales. I believe it was a New Music Seminar, and Stretch was supposed to DJ this big industry event. And they came, he gotten sick, and they had nobody. And they were like, "Skribble, you don't have your records with you, do you?" And I'm like, "Actually, I do, because I live with them." So, So I ended up doing that big industry party, and that's when the record industry and everybody noticed me, because I did what I did. Then I did all the tricks, and they were like, "Who the fuck is that?" You know what I mean? And that's really when it turned around. And I believe that was 94 when that happened.
That energy of getting out of your car permanently.
Yeah. Hey, Beatrice. Yeah.
You took it with you when you did that performance.
Yeah.
And they're all instances that happen that are really what I always call outliers. So if it wasn't for the fact that you were homeless and you didn't have anywhere to go and you was in your car and you had your records in your car, you were already ready, so you didn't have to get ready.
Right. I mean, and that was the thing that Hank always instilled to us, that it was, fail to prepare to fail kind of attitude. And we had to be, even as when I was with the teenagers, we had to be ready at the drop of a dime to be on. And that's the one thing that I continue to strive for, that, and stay humble and stay grounded, but still my work ethic has never changed. I again, if you tell me no, I'm going to find a way for you to say yes.
Say yes. Right. So let me ask you this. What was Tommy Lee? Why did Tommy Lee hate you so much?
Tommy Lee didn't hate me. So, all right. So I really can't talk about this because. Okay. Tommy and I dated the same person. Let's put it that way, back in the day. And when I first met Tommy, and when she's trying to introduce me to him, and this is how I met Tommy Lee, I believe it was at either a VMA or it was at one of the things. And I went to go shake his hand. He's just grilling me, looking at me like, I'm like, I turned to the girl in question. I'm like, yo, what's up with your boy? I was like, what's wrong with your man? And like, next thing you know, it's like, he was just like a jerk. He was, that was when he was crazy, Tommy. But like 2 weeks later, he called me up. He's like, hey, Skribble, it's Tommy. I'm really sorry, man. I was real fucked up. Yo, man, I shouldn't have been like that. And then we became friends ever since. True story.
Okay. All right. So what was it like as a DJ and being friends with Craig Cowman and seeing where Craig Cowman is today?
Craig taught me so much, and so did Heidi, who worked at Big Beat as well, and Rob. I was introduced to the other side of the business. I took Artifacts. I was the one that took Artifacts out on the road, when they first came out on Big Beat. And and my first trip out with them, we had to go to Camden. I rented the van. I didn't take the insurance out on it. We go in to do an in-store. Remember, back then when we would go to do record stores back and do in-stores. So we go in to do the record store. The van gets stolen. They find it 2 days later. It crashed into 20, and I'll never forget, 23 cars. Then I don't know if they set it on fire. I don't remember if they set it on fire or anything, but I didn't take the insurance out of it. That was my first trip out on the road as like promoter, like helping someone. It didn't go so well. I thought I wasn't going to have a fucking job when I got back. But, I learned a lot from Craig. And then, every opportunity I've been given, even when I was on the road with the teenagers, I would make them drop me off at the arena, and I would sit with the sound guys all day and learn how to set all this shit up. You know what I mean? And same thing, when people go, well, did you go to college? Not traditionally. My college was the road. My college was being on tour with Public Enemy for 5 years of my life, and the teenagers learning the industry that I'm in.
Right.
I'm not telling anybody not to go to college, but sometimes hands-on is the best college you could have. And I've made many mistakes and flubs and flounders, but I've had a lot of successes.
So let me ask you this, because it seemed like every time that I've seen MTV, Spring Break, you were always there. Were you? Who holds the title of King of Spring Break or DJ King of Spring Break?
I mean, I won't ever say I do, but I guess. I mean, that's what people have told me. But I had a run on MTV that there was no other. When Hot 97 fired me after the Mountain Dew thing because I was the #1 DJ in the country, and that couldn't happen because Flex was the #1 DJ at Hot 97. I don't care what anybody says. That's why I was fired from Hot 97. You don't just fire the guy who just won your station the belt and then fire him 2 weeks later. It is what it is. But I thought my career was over once again. And then Charlie goes, okay, pack your bags. We're going to Negril, Jamaica. And I ended up doing The Grind with Brandy and NSYNC and Jay-Z. And then the next thing was like, yo, we want you to do Jerry Springer. Then the next thing you know, it's like, can you do this show? Can you do this show? So because I was this first person, even though like on Club MTV, David Morales was on there. There was a few DJs that actually, but I was the first DJ to actually scratch and do all the things that I do to show what DJing was, and that excitement level came to it, that it was like whenever there was music, you know, Dave Sarolnik and they would get Skribble, you know, and then, you know, like with Hip Hop Week, when we put Jam Master Jay and Grandmaster Flash, and then me and Slinky did, you know, our routine, or the legendary New Year's Eve, telling Dave Sarolnik, don't worry about it, it's going to be okay, and having 8 minutes of airtime without him ever seeing what we were going to do live on the most important New Year's Eve of the millennium, thinking that everything was going to, you know, fly 2K the whole nine. And it was like, you sure you can pull this off? And I'm like, yeah. Meanwhile, I'm sitting in my pants like, you know, this was 6 turntables, me, Slinky, and JS1, putting this whole routine together right before the ball drops.
Wow.
No pressure, right? No pressure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Dave Sarolnik's like, well, we really needed to rehearse it. So we would kind of rehearse it, but not really do what we were going to do. You know what I mean? But it went off without a hitch, and, you know, it's in the history books.
So did y'all huddle up for like 5 minutes before y'all went live, or what was
yeah,
that?
no, we just, you know, we were just having fun. Again, it was like, you know, that was the height of MTV. Was the Bible for the music industry at that point. The TRL.
Absolutely.
If you weren't on TRL, you didn't have a record. You know what I mean? It wasn't like being back on the radio. If you weren't on MTV, you didn't have a record. You know, so we were part of a family between, you know, Carson, myself, and everybody else that was there. It was
Sway.
Yeah. Sway came a little bit after, but, you know, I was at MTV literally from 95 to 2004. So I had a long run.
Salute
2004,
Tito
2005.
Puente Jr. that's in here. Salutation to you, Tito Puente.
Oh, TK, I met him. Hey, brother, what's going on?
Yes, indeed.
My girl's mom knows his dad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, really
Wow.
well. Knew his dad really well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Do you feel that you have fans? Or let me ask you this. In your opinion, what is the difference between a fan and a spectator?
I mean, it depends on what that spectator's there to see. I mean, for instance, the night of New Year's Eve when I did Coachella and Lil Wayne's plane couldn't take off, and then I had to fill his slot as well. You know, certain people were like, you're a fucking hero, you saved the whole night. And then maybe like the spectator was like, fuck you, we didn't come to pay to see you. We paid to see Lil Wayne get the fuck off the stage. Maybe that's a good analogy.
That's really a great analogy. I was talking to a young A&R executive, my good friend Abe, and we were talking about artists today. And you know how artists always say, yo, I got mad fans. Look at all these fans that I got, right? And we were having the discussion that there is a difference between a fan and a spectator, right? And a lot of artists today think that they have fans, but they really don't have fans, right? Because a real fan is going to buy everything that you have.
Correct.
You go live, they're going to buy your badges. You know, they're gonna subscribe to your YouTube channel, by the way. Subscribe to the YouTube channel Behind the Records, guys. A fan is gonna buy your t-shirt, your hat, your ball, your coffee cup, your mug.
They're
whatever.
They're gonna support you.
They're gonna financially support you.
And you support
hard.
them right back. And that's the thing, you know, I've been around celebrities, you know, when it comes to like when people come up to me and was like, I became a DJ just because of you. Can you sign this? I've told somebody one time I wouldn't sign something because I was at a funeral for a person's grandmother, and I was cornered in the bathroom. I'm like, bro, wrong place, wrong time. Like, I'm not here for that. Like, you know what I mean? But other than that, like, I've always been the most approachable kind of guy, and I support my fans who, you know, some of which I've known 30 years plus that still follow me to this day on Instagram and all of these things, you know. There's little Danielle that's out there right now. She's chimed in a few times.
Yeah, DJ David Matrix said in 2019 you DJ'd at Pinups in Atlantic City. Him and his future wife was dancing to 6 a.m. and the sun was coming up.
Well, if someone else just said, I did a show in Connecticut and I was checking in, and they came there specifically for me because they saw me play another thing. But he comes up to me, goes, "I just want to let you know I met my wife because of you."
Wow.
You know, and that's how he, you know, he was at a show, they were at a show, and they met, and he thanked me for that. And they were married like 27 years or something like that. So, you know, I have that all over the world. And that's the part that still gets me. I mean, I've been to 59 countries, and I have people I know in 59 different countries. And I'm this young kid from Queens that never thought I was going to be anything to, you know, doing what I've done and still have no desire to slow down.
Well, let me go back and wrap up that I describe what a fan is. And a lot of people, you got to determine if you got a fan, a real fan, or you got a spectator. And that spectator will always watch, but never buy.
Correct. So will the haters.
So, right. So
and
they'll
then you got
watch.
people, then you got the spectators that want to just watch you fail.
Oh, yeah. No,
and they'll follow you. They'll watch everything you do to just wait for that time that you fail.
Right. So they can just, you know, try to laugh.
Right.
They could try to laugh. I understand that you're a huge wrestling fan as well.
Yes. I was 6 years old when I was in my first wrestling magazine with SD Jones and Bob Backlund. And then another fantasy dream of mine was, you know, I hosted WWE Heat when it came on MTV. I was one of the hosts of that. I got speared by Pat Patterson and went into the back, and Vince McMahon tapped me on the back. It was like, "Way to take your first bump, kid." I was like, "Yes, smash me through a table next, please."
You really wanted that?
Yes, I did. I wanted him to put me through a table. No, I
meant to ask you, and it's my bad, you know, I'm not perfect, but I meant to ask you that during the polygraph test, to ask you, is wrestling fake?
No, it's not that it's fake. It's, listen, you got, especially nowadays, you're getting people getting hurt. Granted, they're pulling punches, you're pulling this. The winner is already a known outcome, but it's not fake. It's sports entertainment, and nobody can tell me different. When they bleed, it ain't a blood capsule. They're cutting their take with a razor, and they're bleeding. Yeah, they would they'd keep a razor like in their wrist right here. They'd take the shot, go down, pull it out, cut their forehead. Common practice. Or sometimes they'll just get busted open. It happens too. Mick Foley used to just get busted open and still wrestle.
Is the money that good to take a razor to your forehead?
For some of the superstars, I mean, nowadays, back then, these guys weren't making anything. They did it because they loved it. That was their business, their industry, their passion. No different than what we do.
So how do you explain this Johnny Knoxville guy? You know what I'm saying? He has a head injury.
17 concussions he's had. Yeah, he's a maniac. And God love him. I can't wait to see this movie. I can't wait.
Oh, I've seen it. Oh, my God.
It's crazy, right?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
If you want to know who we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about the one and only Johnny Knoxville from Jackass movie, Jackass fame.
And he's a halfway decent actor too. He doesn't just came from that, but he's also been in regular movies too. So, you know.
So what's in the future for you, man? Is more television? What's in the future for Skribble?
More television definitely coming. More studio, a lot more music, and that's where I'm happiest right now. You know, rebuilding the new studio where I am, and being able to work with Angel and Cameron and you know, and just work on music and collaborate and have fun, and taking my style and mixing it in with the boom bap, but also giving you that dancey style. It's like, so the three of us, when like today it was with Aguilar all day, we would make everything from a gutter rat, dirty boom bap beat to a happy, poppy beat. You know what I mean? So right now, just building the catalog and just continuing to build the catalog.
So let me ask you this. 5 rap groups from Long Island, right? Leaders of the New School, EPMD, Eric B. Rakim, Third Base. If you had to remove, you want to add another one?
A JBC Force, Strong Island.
JBC Force. If you had to remove one of them, Eric B. Rakim.
Yeah, you can't. You're not allowed. You're not allowed. You can't. You can't erase history. It's impossible. So when someone, and that's my answer when people say, if you had, like, you can't, because you can't erase history.
What about shout out to Drink Champ Sports too in the building.
Drink Champs.
What about DJs? Who's on your Mount Rushmore of DJs? Legendary, present day, doesn't matter. Top 5.
Obviously, Cool Herc, Grand Wizard Theodore, Africa Bambaataa. I'm gonna run out before I get to the top 5 because those are the fathers. Charlie Chase, Tony. It's again because I can never just narrow it down because each and every Clark Kent, each and every one of these guys have touched my life in different ways, and not just in hip hop. Then you got Carl Cox and Junior Vasquez and Danny Tenaglia from the house world, who also inspired me to what I do. Especially Junior. I mean, Junior really is how I learned how to play house music, and then took all of those elements and put that into my hip hop sets. So I can't. My Mount Rushmore would be like a state long, because I can't just. Each one of these people that have always been by my side, that Jazzy Jazz, have all either inspired me or personally been in part of my life. So that's a very hard, very tough one to pick.
So do you break it down in format, like house?
House is a very different animal than hip hop because there's so many genres, from deep house, tech house, techno, psytrance, trance, progressive house. It's like tropical house. There's so many different arms to that tree. How I break it down is when I go to see someone play and you blow me away, because I guess I've seen the best. I've watched the best then from the beginning to just still who are the best now. And to me, there's a lot of young cats, don't get me wrong, that are dope, but it's like, when people were kind of bashing, some people were bashing the Super Bowl performance, and I'm like, you just saw real hip hop on a stage nobody would ever think it would be. As Snoop is coming up smoking a joint out of the pit. You know what I mean? I mean, like, you can't sleep on the originators, or not the originators, but just seasoned veterans. That's where you're always gonna get that. You always got that young, hungry kid that's gonna blow us away, but I'm always gonna go to the seasoned vet.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you too. You kind of, you answered a whole bunch of my questions before I even had a chance to ask you, which is an adamant professional. So thank you for that, making my job that much easier. But the Super Bowl halftime show to me was, was an example of how hip hop can be mature.
Correct.
But it is still be
but it is mature. A lot of these young cats, they're not feeling Dre. They're not feeling this. They want to, and I don't know why. They like what they like, and this is where I start to sound like my father. And when he didn't understand hip-hop, I don't understand a lot of these cats that are out that just all sound the same, could barely understand the word they're saying, depend on the auto-tune too much. Some of these dudes can spit. Turn the fucking auto-tune on. Let me hear you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, there is a lot of young talent out there, and it doesn't just have to be boom bap. I want it to be. I like a lot some of the stuff that's out. We've made it a little bit too easy to make music. We really have. I mean, there's so many different tools now where you could, never be out of key, never do, and if you don't even need musical theory anymore to make a record.
That's right. That's right. You don't even need how to
right, and that goes back to a blessing and a curse. So when these young kids are just becoming producers, and not all of them, but a lot of them, who have no knowledge of anything past 5 years ago, musically, then don't tell me you're in this game like you really are dedicated to this game. I went and did my homework when I wanted to get into house music and learned everything about it because I didn't know anything about it at the time. Same thing, in hip-hop or anything that I do, I need to know it backwards, forwards, inside out, upside down, and sideways. Otherwise, I don't feel like I'm portraying it correctly. And if I don't know, I'm going to ask. I'm still not ashamed to ask.
Right. So we see what's happening now with the efforts to associate drill music with violence. That energy, they're trying to match crimes, deaths, homicides with this particular format of music and format of rap music. Rap music always had the stigma of it. It's not going to last. It's violent. It's misogynistic. It's just bad. Our kids should not listen and poison out their brains.
They said the kids shouldn't listen to Elvis either. It's no different than anything that history has just repeated itself. When Elvis first came out and he did his first gyration, fucking the world went nuts and wanted to kill him. You know what I mean? Like, you can't do that. It's no different, I think that responsibility also falls more on us as artists. You know what I mean? I think we are a little bit more out of control. We're also, because of the technology, we're exposed to a lot more at a lot younger age. What we see on the news and TV and on our phones right in our hand or on our iPads, and we live in a violent world. Let's face it.
Yeah, well, they're trying to associate and also blame social media and the use of social media apparatus as cell phones and Facebook, Instagram Lives for being enablers or facilitators for this type of activity because they all got geo-tracking. They can, your location. You're gonna show up where you at. And
I mean, I think it should be like there was a video someone posted of these two girls beating the shit out of each other, and they were counting, and she hit her, I think, 38 times. She was pretty much knocked out. And these are like junior high school kids, I think they were, and nobody did nothing to stop it, but you saw 30 kids with their phones out just videotaping. So yeah, social media does play a big part in some of the negativity and the things that we do, and has taken definitely a generation and not taught them social skills and in-person things. I mean, how many times do you call somebody now? Don't leave me a message. I don't listen to it. Text me. What? What? Okay, I'm not called that. Screw you now. I don't even want to talk to you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we've become this civilization, and you can blame a lot of that on technology. But it's up to the individual not to let that happen. I fight with my kids all the time. Like, they're just playing video games, and I'm the one that got them into that. I couldn't wait to get my son a PlayStation. It was the biggest mistake I ever made in my life because that's all they want to do. They don't want to do nothing else.
Yo, and they're asking you for real dollars.
Correct.
To buy virtual clothing.
Dad, can I have $20? I need to buy these gems. Gems? What kind of gems? What do you get? No, well, it's in this game. I was like, so you don't get nothing physical for that? No, I just get to put a new Avatar suit on. So you're paying someone else to just unlock a red suit instead of the black one you're wearing, but I'm gonna be it. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
And there's no returns.
None. That's
You
why
can't.
that's why I'm trying to tell them, yo, why don't you start to learn how to do this? And you're the one that they're giving the money to.
Right.
You're on this
Be on the
damn
receiving
thing.
side.
Correct.
Be on the receiving side. So with your albums, House Essentials, you know, the Spring Break, Summer 2001, all the stuff that you're doing with house music, and you are getting vocals or you get acapellas, and then you are putting the production behind it, right?
Well, that would be more of a remix. You know,
Okay,
that's when you get that, like when I just did Demi Lovato, Lonely People with John Michael, and the Debbie Gibson. You know, those were remixes that were specifically done for Peloton and for their platform. And but when we go into the studio, no, we have writers and write original songs. You know.
So how's that process work? Like, how do you clear the lead vocals like from big artists like Whitney Houston's and Aretha Franklin's and like those big vocalists that you use?
Well, sometimes, that's where we make the mashups for them. We just give them out there and give them away to just to keep, we did this whole thing called the Vault series, what me and Dom did for the street slang stuff. And it has everything from Michael Jackson to Chubb Rock to Missy Elliott on it. Obviously, I couldn't put those out commercially because you've got to pay a fortune to clear all those samples. So just for promotion and marketing purposes, like anything else, we redid these mashups. You follow us, you get the mashup for free. I mean, it's just a marketing tool,
Right. And what has been your experience with those EDM DJs and those house and dance labels from abroad?
I know a lot, all of them. I know so many of them, from Joseph Caparati to Will Clark, Pete Tong. I mean, Pete Tong, I brought Pete. I was again, and I hate saying that, but I was the first one to bring Pete Tong to New York radio on KTU when he would do his essential from his show, and then do the dance updates and do the news during my show on KTU.
Right.
That was a first. To bring him over there from Radio 1. So again, I'm so blessed and so fortunate to be respected in both worlds, because that's usually either you're one or the other with these guys a lot of times, and you're not allowed in, but because I was in at such an early time and they knew I was serious, and what I've done for the dance community as well, playing certain records on MTV that would never get played, during my shows, and it really, those people took notice of that too, just like in the hip hop world. And that's how I started to get the essential dance. It wasn't because I was on radio, like to get the essential dance in Skribble's house and the Thrive mixes. It's because I was on MTV playing house music as well.
Right. So all of these things kind of lined up for you, right?
Well, not that they lined up. I went after them and set a goal and different paths, and I executed I made the plan up as I was going, as I still do, and just executing it to the best of my ability to succeed. And I mean, I've had, so many failures. I mean, you don't get to be successful and know what a win feels like without losing a lot. And in this game, we lose a lot. I don't care who you think you're, from Puffy to Khaled to Fed. There's been many disappointments, many rejections before they got to where they were to.
Right. So what advice would you give a DJ or someone that's interested in DJing present day, right? Because it's easy for you to get the equipment. It's easy for you to get DJ City and get files. But like, what advice would you give them?
There's no easy way around it, and you got to put in the work. And now, because there is no more really management and artist development, so managers ain't fucking with somebody unless they're already buzzing and blah, 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 blah. You know, you got to become your own marketer, promoter, designer, producer, engineer, everything at first. I mean, but that's what you want in an artist today. You want somebody. It went from when we had an artist, and I've been around people like that, where we were on the road and something went wrong and they had to get home and they couldn't, get a hold of their this or their that. I'm like, well, just call this right here and book your flight. Like, here you go. And they didn't know how to do that. You know what I mean? Like, because we used to have a team from a label wiping our ass everywhere we went and everything was done for us. And we didn't have to think, I was always a big believer on never be like that. You need to control your own shit, know your own shit, know what's going on with your business in every single way, because this is a business.
And I'm so glad that you said that, because I think that more people need to hear that and understand that, right? So, when I was sitting in the chair up at Universal, at Def Jam, and Sony, people always say, yo, I want to get signed. I want to come up there so you can hear my stuff and you can push the button and I'll be out of here. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's all they cared about, was the George Jetson blast off moment. And I'm like, yo, it doesn't work like that. You don't see that I'm in this office after 7. You don't see that I'm, I'm coming in at 6 straight from the club. You don't see that. Like, you don't see that I'm waiting at Hot 97 at 4 a.m., sleeping in the car trying to catch the morning show. You don't see that, right? Because you sleep.
Right.
Right? So, or like I said earlier, you getting on the train, I'm getting off the train. So you don't see me, but I'm there in the moment though, right?
Right.
So, and a shout out to my man DJ Fresh and Sus One and all the DJs, Cashville, all the DJs that are in here and all the content creators that are in here, because it's important for you to DIY.
Do it yourself, for sure.
Do it yourself. People have been in my ear, yo, you should go over here with this Behind the Records, you should do this and you should do that. You know what? I'm going to slow cook it. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to count on you guys in the audience. Y'all my record makers with a Z. So I need y'all to subscribe. It's pinned right there. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow Behind the Records. Of course, follow our esteemed guest, is DJ Skribbles, and follow I Am Rob Love. And let's support each other, because I'm doing it myself. And I'm doing it with you. So I'd rather have you as my partners than trying to go seek someone else for assistance. You know why? Because people are so busy. People got their own lives. They got their own agendas. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to stop building their house to work on yours.
Fact.
You know what I'm saying?
Fact.
But what you can do is you can say, oh, you're building, I'm building. Let's go to Home Depot together and do a bulk purchase, get the materials cheaper, so both we can get a discount on our materials.
Correct. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't look at it that way still. They just want to go for theirs and get theirs and get theirs, and that's it. But that's for the people that are no longer in my life. So,
just like Fat Joe had to trim it down, we all have to trim it down, right? And I appreciate my squad, all the people that support, all the record makers that are in here, Gabby in 3D, Wiberia, Miss Viola, I Am Jenna, Natural Friday, I see you in here, yo. It's just DJ Holla, what up, man. So Skribbles, man, I really appreciate you taking out the time to doing this, man.
No, thank you.
This was amazing. We talked about a lot, probably some stuff that we probably shouldn't have talked about, but you know what I'm saying? The truth is what the truth is, man. And I appreciate you playing the polygraph, the record maker polygraph test.
Yeah, that was fun. That was cool. That was cool.
Yeah. So any last comments, any last words, anything that you want to share?
Just the people out of here, I see a lot of familiar tags, and these are people that have been loyal to me and following me over many years, and I'm definitely greatly blessed and thankful for that, and it ain't over yet. Like, there's a new chapter being written right now, and like I told you, the book will end when you put me in the ground. Until then, I'm still riding. I tell everybody, and I've said this since day one, it's the craziest roller coaster ride that I never want to get off.
Wow. Well, we're going to keep that roller coaster in the right parks. We're going to keep it safe. And we are charging admission, though, so don't just come empty-handed. It costs the ride, baby. It costs the ride. So continue to be creative. Queen Deneen, what's up? I see you. She was at BLS, Hot 97, you know.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Kenny.sway, what up? I see you
what
out
up,
there.
Kenny?
Dex Diamond.
Yo, it's Kenny.sway. We're talking about the right one. Down from DC, right? You talking about Kenny.sway from DC? Is that what you?
Yeah.
Yo, I seen him. We were down there. I was down there, and I had no idea who this man was. And we were by the water with my family, and I heard this man sing, and he literally put me in tears watching him sing to this little girl. His voice, I was totally blown away by that man. If that's the same, I can't see it, but if that's what we're talking about, he's unbelievable, that dude. Unbelievable.
That's what's up, man. Let's see if he'll join us, man.
Yeah, I don't see. Let me see. I don't see. How do I see? See, this is where I'm technologically stupid.
Oh, this
Oh, there he is. What's up, sir?
Yo, what's up, sir?
What's going on, brother?
How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good. So again, a chance encounter with this man while I was in DC with my family, and he entertained the crowd. And I tell you, I was like, who is this guy? I need to find him. I gotta follow him. I DM'd him. I'm like, you're incredible. Like, that's how I met. That's how I met Kenny.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you, man. Thank you, man.
Yeah, he's one of a kind for sure. You're truly a talent. That's just, I don't know how you're not Grammy'd out all over the place, all over the world. It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, that. To answer that, people always ask me, like, why are you not, here? I mean, I feel like I'm just that artist who love the long roads.
Yes.
And people don't understand how many people you can actually connect with genuinely by taking the longer road. And I'm a patient dude. Like, I've always been patient. I've always been the type of artist to go based off of my own path and understanding, everybody's paths is different. And, an older guy said, if you keep going, you're going to get there. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's what I live by as an artist. That's how, I can maneuver. And this crazy thing is, you talking about the street. I was thinking about, like, just here, watching the interview and everything like that. I'm like, man, I should just go on like a street tour. And I'll ask
that's a crazy, bro. I'm telling you, you really should, because let me tell you something, Rob. But I don't know if you've ever seen him sing and what he does. I mean, it's just him and a little speaker and with the mic, and he's there, and he'll take requests. But I mean, the engagement that he has from people just that are around him. I mean, like, we literally were walking through, I had the kids down there. We went there for the weekend, and I walked up to her. I said, you just made my entire trip worth it, watching you perform.
It's great. Appreciate it, dude.
No, I'm dead ass. I was so excited. I was telling my girl, I'm like, that was so, you made us, we were both crying watching you sing. Like, his voice is beautiful, isn't it? Like, yeah.
Yo,
True
Kenny,
story, bro. I'm not my hand of God. True story.
All I can say, Kenny, is that is one heck of endorsement, bro. That's one heck of an endorsement.
No, I posted that day as soon as I see that. I took a video. I posted it's on my gram. I posted. I'm like, I don't know who this guy is, but he's fucking incredible.
Hey, Skribble, man, appreciate it, man. Yo, Rob, I just followed you too, man. I actually hopped on here because I'm following Skribble, so I was like, let me tap in and see what was going on in here, man. But I should definitely go ahead and I'm gonna plan a street tour, and I'm gonna be real strategic with it. And allow my followers to find me.
And you got a lot of followers, dude. You got over what, 150,000 followers? I think you got more followers than I got. You got this. That's the thing. Like I said, his followers are what we were just talking about. They're fans. Like his followers.
So we was having a comparison of fans or spectators, right?
Yeah.
Because there's people that are, you know, and a lot of women can attest to this, right? Like people who will look at your IG but won't follow you.
Right. Nah, yeah. That's real life. Because you gotta understand, like you said, fans or spectators, like I don't call fans, I call them supporters. So, and then you gotta really distinguish who's supporting you like out loud or who's supporting you in secret.
Correct.
I love the ones that support me in secret because I know those are like the diehard ones. The ones that's following you out loud be the first ones to comment and say, hey, you know, when is this next, what's the name? Or I post something controversial, then you got 100 comments, but then I post, hey, look, go stream my music. I just dropped a single, but you got like
facts
6 comments saying,
facts,
you know, with parts, but you post something that's have nothing to do with what you do, then you got 1,000 comments and you got all of these people randomly just having a conversation based off of what you post.
Total fact.
So, yeah. I look at social media. I said, like, I mean, Scrub, he can attest. I do this in real life.
Yes.
You feel me? I do this in real life. Like I don't just get on lives and sing and stuff like that. I actually go out into the street, and regardless, you know, before Skribble came up, I was singing before there was a crowd.
That's true. He was out there by himself. No, I watched you from the time you turned on the mic. It was just him, and then everybody just started to come around.
And that's just a testament of how powerful music is. Like music has no color. You know what I mean? It's basically shit. You go out there sing the right songs, them people gonna come.
That's right. 100%. I mean, it's gonna touch someone somewhere in their heartstrings somewhere in a certain way, you know. And your range is very diverse from when I heard you. And I mean, I love what you do, bro. That's it. Like, my hat's off.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Well, I'm inspired. I'm going to skip the NBA All-Star weekend. I'm going to come to the DMV, and I'm going to find you. So I'm going to be in your DM.
Hey, Rob, I will definitely let you know where I'll be at.
Absolutely.
Because he's all over the place. He's not just in one spot. Like, I got lucky catching you there probably.
Yeah. I probably was only there for like an hour.
We were there for the whole time, so I know.
I don't even. I mean, at this point, I don't really just stay in one spot. I do probably like maybe an hour and a half, and I'm on to the next spot.
Well, I mean, I love the nomadic mentality of moving, because we got to keep moving. You know what I'm saying?
Always.
You know, if you stop or if you slow down, you will eventually stop.
No, that's right. That's real talk.
We got to keep it going, man. And yeah, man, I look forward to it, man. I really appreciate you for tapping in. And Skribbles, man, I'm glad that you had such a wonderful experience, man. The gifts keep coming, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Look, I'm thinking I'm here to surprise Skribble, and Skribble is surprising me. You know what I mean? So I receive it in high frequencies.
Thank you, brother.
Definitely.
All right, now I gotta drive Aguilar back to Brooklyn and then go to Long Island and go get Cameron.
Okay, cool, man. Listen,
right,
man,
thank you so much for having me, man. Appreciate that.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you for joining us on Behind the Records, man.
Thanks,
make
Rob.
sure you follow. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Skribble, man, my brother. Yo, what an amazing conversation. Thank you guys for the supports. Thank you for the follows. I'll see you guys next week. We're going to continue the producer segment for this month of Black History Month, which is, you know, coming to a close, but it's Black History 365. Thank you. Please tell a friend to join in next time. Thank you so much for the follows once again. Thank you for your time. All the DJs, all the creative people in here, thank you so much. See you next week. Make sure that you follow. And you can get a replay on the on my Instagram live, and then you can check the YouTube channel for the full length. All right, I'll be putting up clips. Thank you all for supporting, and I'll see you next week. Peace.